Hey, what's going on, everyone? I'm here today with both Snipedown and Lunchbox to kind of talk about some strategies and tips for the map Truth. We're going to be going over both Slayer and Capture the Flag. Just kind of some general ideas for what's best to hold, different areas of the map that you want to push for, and really basic strategies for what our team likes to do for both game types. So specifically for Slayer, I'll let Jason start it off.
Well, I don't think there's really an ideal setup on this game type. I think you want to try and control Pink and Car if you can, and trap them in bases, but that's not easy to do. I think the biggest thing is just keeping a base controlled and then pushing out together. Pink 2 is obviously fairly powerful, but it's only powerful if your teammates are in position to help you.
Yep. Yeah,
you don't want to let them charge up into Pink on you,
yeah,
because it's not a very good battle to fight a guy from Pink Street when you're in Pink 2. I mean, you don't really have a big of an advantage. He can bail just as easy as you can bail on it, so.
Yep.
I think it's important to have a guy sitting in like window of the base or car 3 that has an angle or in a bubble.
Yeah, the window guy's huge.
The window guy is definitely huge.
Going up Pink Street or seeing him from the car.
It's just about getting eyes on those guys that are spawning, and getting eyes on them while they're pushing out, and locating spawners is really huge. But obviously, I mean, this map is kind of a staple in Halo. It's really similar to Midship, so a lot of people play it really similarly. Obviously, Pink is super important, and having angles to help your teammates from car, but it's also important just to try to focus on those spawns, and one of the most common spawns you're going to find are over here on car side in both of the bubbles where I'm at right now. Obviously, it's just about rotational teamwork.
Yeah, I was going to say it's about rotating, not getting trapped in a base. If you're the first person to spawn in a base and your team's dead, you need to get out because you don't want your whole team to be trapped in a base, or other teams are just going to get full control on you and just trap you over and over and over.
Yeah, worst case scenario is you get totally collapsed on. So if you notice that you're the first one up and you don't have a base, it's generally a good idea to get to a base and push off your spawns if you're all spawning car side. If you're all spawning in a base, it's generally a good idea to try to push out with a teammate. At least, you know, together to try to get somewhere on the map. You don't want to ever just sit in a base, sit on your spawns, and let the other team kind of push around the map wherever they want to.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things is to wait for your teammates all spawn too. If you try and lead into a base before your teammates are alive, you're ended up probably either going to get one shot to where you're a non-factor when your teammates are actually able to come help you, or you're going to die, so.
Alright, so let's take this to Flag now. Obviously Slayer is all about rotating since the spawns are all over the map for both teams. But for Flag specifically, obviously it's eliminated to just, you know, half the base, or half the map, and mostly in the base and in the car side. So what kind of areas of the map do you want to hold for Capture the Flag, and ideally where do you want to be running it?
I think CTF is more about just making sure you're not blocking everything on the map.
It's definitely not one specific way you want to run it. It's really dependent on where your teammates are at. One of the things that's most bothersome is when you're starting to get control and you have one person who's going into Pink, and that person at Pink decides to push top center instead of like pushing into their base, because then you're just gonna you're basically like forcing them, especially if your teammates are coming from car and you're just sitting there for Pink, you're just forcing them into their base. Like, you're forcing the spawns in their base, and that's the last thing you want to do. So the guy who's Pink needs to not go top center, and the guy who's Pink needs to start pushing into their flag. And then once your teammates are car, that guy who is pushing Pink is the main guy who should be pulling flag, because the guy's car can be blocking car spawns. And once that guy's into the base, that forces the other team under the base, which is a lot better than them spawning on their flag. The guy who pulls flag can then run flag, and the guys are already blocking car. So you pretty much are guaranteeing the other team spawning under their base. Unlike if that guy who was Pink 2 would go top center, you're basically giving them a chance to spawn on their flag or under their base, or even kind of like out Pink them. And it's just, you want to have the highest percentage chance of knowing what's going to happen, rather than giving the other team like a random spawn or something that can really screw the flag around.
Yeah, in general, I was going to say while you were talking there, it's usually a much higher percentage play to run the flag towards your teammates, almost always. I'm not sure if you wanted to add anything to that, Jason, but ideally, yeah, I mean, you have to make sure to block the bubble spawns, though. The quickest way to have a flag run be stopped there is just to absent-mindedly leave the bubble, and 9 times out of 10, the other team is going to spawn there. If you don't have a guy there, they're almost always going to spawn right there. So if you're going to run it towards your teammates on car, you have to make sure that they're actually blocking the bubble spawns, not pushing into the base behind you to look for spawners or something, and then they'll end up spawning on car.
Yeah, come to red car bubble. this is not blocking the car bubble spawn.
Yep.
This is blocking the car bubble spawn. You literally have to be inside the bubble to block it.
Yeah, this is like the most influenced spawn point on the map for each team.
Yeah, they can still spawn right behind you if you are not in the bubble, so I think that's important because you don't really have any better angle standing right here than you do standing back here, so there's no reason not to be standing in bubble to ensure that you're not going to get spawned behind. Yep. Because it happens all the time.
Yeah, it really does.
Especially amateur teams who are not paying attention to where everybody is on the map, and unless you know where everybody is and the full situation, you can't push into the base from bubble unless you know that it's going to be alright if they spawn behind you in the bubble, because if you do leave it, they're going to spawn behind you if you kill people.
Yeah, well, a good situation where you would be able to leave it is if you are in the best position for your team to run the flag and you're running it towards your teammates at pink.
Right.
Which is totally fine to do. Yeah, then you want them to spawn car. But, you know, I don't know, let's flip the example and say that you are just spawning and the other team is running your flag. Obviously, most people know that you're not supposed to try to loop around through your base and chase the flag guy, especially with the way how fast Halo 5 plays. I mean, it's just not that great of a play. If the flag guy's already halfway back, you'll just never catch him. You want to try to push out towards the other team's base and flip the map around and try to get a pull. If you're the first guy up, you want to get there to the other team's base and get a flag pull if they aren't back yet, and start running the other flag back towards your teammates if you can, which is just really important. One, so they don't get the cap, obviously, but two, so that your teammates have plenty of time to get there before they get the flag back, and you can have the flag back to your base by the time your teammates get there to go for the return.
Yeah, it's super easy to do that in this game because of how fast you can get to the other team's base and how fast you can freaking run the flag and how easy it is to evade. The sprint and thrust.
Yep. Yeah, it's all about that rotational type of awareness with your teammates and just communicating who's going to be doing what effectively for sure.
I mean, just being careful of where you're pushing and knowing that that's going to influence the spawns one way or the other. Because you could be blocking a spawn that's going to screw your entire team over. Even if you get a kill or two, you could still cost your team a cap if you push too far one way or the other.
Yep.
You just need to be aware of where you're pushing and what it's going to block so that the spawns are really predictable in this game. So.
Yep, you definitely have to be sure of what you're doing and where you're going. Are there any specific jumps you think would help people?
No, but if you can get the sword and run the flag, it's the fastest man alive.
Fastest man alive.
Yep. I know there's this pink one jump, but I'm not very good at it.
There's definitely some jumps. A lot of the things that this game has been like a meta is the slide jump, or the slide thrust, but the glitch with that is actually going to be getting patched.
There's the jump.
That like sliding off ledges, but there's
do one more
jumps
time, just
like pink one to pink two. I can do it real quick.
Yep.
We returned our flag.
A lot of these jumps are like really situational because there's not very many times you'll find yourself pink one able to actually slide.
Have time to thrust out in the open and get up top or whatever.
There's definitely times that can be really useful.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly
especially
what I was about
if you're able to do it 100% of the time. But some of the jumps that a lot of people do are like, I don't know, 70-80% at best, and sometimes it puts you in a worse position to miss the jump than just take a different route.
Honestly, the only time I do that kind of jump is like, because I mean running pink 2 is really not that much slower, is when I'm like stuck pink 1 and I have the enemy team coming out of the base and I'm pretty much just going to get either naded or I'm just going to sit down there and probably get my shield weakened over time, like non-stop. I just do that jump, or if I know that they're pushing out the street and I have a teammate already in pink 2 and they're looking for me, I can do that, and then I can throw them off, and we can double team them because they're still looking down low, and I'm already up top.
Yeah, come bubble time. Another situation that you'll find, like, I mean, pretty much every time you're in your base and you don't have control is when they're spawning in bubble, and I mean, most players you just jump here and try and get into the bubble, but you can slide right into the bubble, which is pretty useful, I think.
Plasma caster ready.
And just get over the top of them this way, and you're on top of them instead of having to jump where they can nade you easily.
Yep.
Most of the time they won't expect that. You can do it better even, yeah, like Eric did.
Yeah,
where you get up really high. I feel like that's pretty underrated. You can get up really high and get above them. Eric is the one that showed me that. It's pretty damn good.
Yeah, definitely.
He's used that before.
There's also the front of the base jumps, which are really useful, obviously situationally. Again, everything's going to be situationally. I mean, you know, if you don't know where the other team is, you're trying to do a jump out in front of them. base, it's not going to be that useful. But jumping into the window from bottom center is definitely useful, especially if your team is pushing or has map control and you're trying to get in the base for like a quick flag pull. That one's easy to do. Yeah, I didn't explain that one real quick. You just have to jump, you stabilize and crouch.
You don't even have to stabilize, I don't think.
Yeah, I think it's just a crouch. But yeah, you
pretty
can
much
just
any jump you don't have to stabilize on. The crouching is what gets you the extra height.
There's this jump, like there's jumps like these like little pillars bottom center, but this one is just like
I think that's one thing that like people can easily figure out more of is the jumps, because pretty much anything that there's like a slowly increasing angle for objects on the map you can slide into and it flings you a lot of times.
some neat little tricks like just think real quick, Towey.
Yep.
This is actually good for Slayer or Flag. If you know the enemy team is like in their base and you're pink 2 or something, you can kind of push up like towards this, and you can just kind of sit in this little corner, and they will like if they're coming out of the base, like here, Towey, you can even like you can show it. Like if you're coming, let's say you're coming out of red, and you think I'm in pink 2, and I'm like if I'm coming out of red, I think you're in pink 2. I'm gonna throw my nades right here. I still can't see you. I didn't see you at all, and you ought to.
Yeah, you get just ridiculous
shots on
viewpoint right here. Here,
like,
Jason, you want to sit right there?
With radar.
Go back in there. Go back in there.
Well,
especially with radar, like you will not see me. Like, if I'm just crouching in this corner, like you cannot.
I don't know. If it were Towey in the corner, I'd smell him immediately and just come sword him. But most players, you would not be able to.
We sit over here for a second so I can see what it looks like. If someone on the other team is there. No, I know. If I'm sitting over here, though, yeah, it's literally impossible. And people definitely take their radar like for granted. If they don't see anyone, they almost assume that there isn't somebody. So.
Well, most people don't even like. I mean, why would you ever check that corner when you're going into pink 2 when there's possibly a guy that's going to be in pink 2 in front of you? Like, you can't risk turning away from the place you're running, so they don't really have a counterplay to it. You can't just turn right to look in that corner unless you've done it like 5 times that game and they're expecting you to be there. But
It's actually really good.
Yeah, that's about it, I guess. There isn't really too much else we can go over. It's really just all about communicating with your teammates and making sure you're pushing off your spawns correctly and trying to spawn trap correctly. You know, obviously, if you're trying to run a flag, you want to be running it towards your teammates and blocking spawns correctly. And for Slayer, it's just about rotating and predicting spawns and working well with your teammates. So I think that that about covers it for us. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these videos, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe below. We're going to be covering pretty much every map and every game type for Halo 5 with 1 or more people from our team. So make sure to follow, and we'll see you guys later.